I don't know how good an idea it is. I'd like literally like banged this all together really quickly when I was on my walk back from do, doing my 5K run. I was on a trail walk back and I was like, is it time to put your big fitness goals back on the table? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I'll set a time. And 12:30 is my time. I'm trying to get into the habit of doing 12:30 on a Wednesday because that's when I'm going to be doing my membership lives. So I'm creating the habit now. Um, but I'm squeezing it in and feeling a little bit unprepared because I changed everything round because I've been getting my fence done at home today. So there's lots of noise, there's lots of drilling, there's lots of banging. So it's not conducive to recording. And of course, I'm recording everything for the membership at the moment as well. Excuse me. Um, and because they've gone away for a little bit, I was like, right, I'll do the recording now, make the most of the relative silence. I say that, I can hear the dogs barking and stuff, but I have set my microphone so it doesn't have sound coming from the outside, but I don't know, we'll see. But I thought, well, I'm going to hop on and do this anyway, because it was a really cool thought to have, because it's kind of come from my own journey. In the last few years, many of you that have followed me for a long time know that in December 2021, we were flooded out of our flat and we had to move. We moved 3 times in 18 months. It was a lot. And it took its toll. It took its toll. And I'd already been dealing with a lot of stuff trauma wise. And when you keep on going, eventually there comes a point where your body is like, look, I need to rest. Many of you'll probably have seen or heard of the book, The Body Keeps Score. And yeah, yeah, it does. But what I found personally, professionally, in my own training is the reason why I love it so much, and in particular running, is that it was almost connected to my sense of freedom. When I feel strong, when I feel fit, when I feel flexible, when I've got a fitness goal that I am focused in on, or I say focused in on, a lot of the time when I'm setting my fitness goals, I kind of set it like you would set a sat nav, and I'm like, right, this is what I'm going for. And then I set it, and then my subconscious kind of does the rest and figures out the how and just kind of gravitates towards it. I just like achieve it. Now, I say that, obviously it's not quite as simple as that. Really, I obviously have a background in fitness planning and programming and nutrition and things like that, from that being my career since 2008. I have a lot at my disposal. But ultimately, in the last two years, God, 2 years already, 2.5 years. So in the last 2 years in particular, the more moves we had, because I physically moved us all those times, the more moves I had, the more we had to sort of set up again. The more stuff I kind of had to deal with and building the routine again, especially being late recognized autistic, where routine's really important. I got really tired. When you're battling, when you're fighting things, you tire out. And I think sometimes it's really easy to forget that when you are using a lot of your mental reserves, your emotional reserves, that takes a lot of physical energy too. So if you've been watching my TikToks or my Facebook posts or anything like that, you'll probably have recognized that I've been doing playing with couch to 5K as part of getting back into my running, because it was feeling so hard. My body was feeling really tired. Where was I going with that? Where was I going with that? Oh, but anyway, today when I went on the run, yesterday was a really powerful one, because what I did was my energy it was through the floor. And I was like, I'm going to go and do this because it feels like mental fatigue that is showing up as physical fatigue rather than it being actually physically fatigued. And the way that I tend to um, see that, test that, is to do what I call snacking on workouts. So doing the first 5 minutes to check where my energy's at, see where it is, because very, very, very quickly I'll come to realize whether I am genuinely physically tired and I'm going to benefit from resting, and not even benefit, like it's almost like imperative that I rest, so as to not like injure myself or feel horrendous or get ill or anything like that. But a lot of the times when it's rooted in the mental and emotional fatigue, the movement actually energizes me and makes me feel good. So this is why, while I'm setting up my membership, so I've sent it out so that I've got founder members coming in, and I'm staggering the levels because it's huge for a start. But the Thrive membership is all about the foundations and the mindset and the understanding and all of the outside influences like breath work and meditation and journaling, and coming to understand all the beliefs that create some of the stuckness. And it was really important for me to release that part first, because I think quite often in terms of fitness goals, we totally underestimate how much of it has very little to do with the actual exercise itself or the food itself. There's actually a fabulous book that I read recently called, I think it's Power of Expectation. I've got the physical version of it coming today because I was like, oh, this is so good. I need to like highlight it and do some TikToks on it, because it's so good. But what you believe and what you feel can massively impact your ability for output and the outcome of the output as well. So that's why I'm doing that level. And then there's going to be the school level, which is the structured courses. And the Move library is going to be the last one that really comes together, though I'll be adding exercises and stuff into it over the next year. I won't officially launch that until January. But anyway, so I'd come to the end of this run, and yesterday's one was really powerful because I was playing with how slow can I go? Can I go so slow, so steady, so gentle with these runs that I feel like I'm almost going backwards? That was kind of the vibe. And part of that was because when I'm running, when I'm slowing down, it's going to take skill for me not to transfer all of my energy down. I still want to be using my energy well. So not transferring it down and still transferring it forward. And sometimes I feel like that's a little easier to do when you're going fast, because you're going for it. When you're slowing it down and being a lot more intentional, it can be really easy to sort of drop into it. But it felt really good because I did manage to slow down. And as someone, as you probably gathered from the speed that I'm talking, um, in the video, I have a lot of fire energy, Aries rising on Leo stellium, got lots of fire energy. I want to go. If I'm doing anything, be it fitness, business, whatever, I want to go and give it everything that I've got and then rest off. So it's taken a lot of conscious practice and training and time and learning about myself to play at the opposite end of the spectrum, and instead of being all or nothing, play with, okay, so how can I do this really gently and develop the skill in that slower level? So that felt really exciting yesterday. And then today, it was different. I'd went into it with an open-ish mind. I kind of knew what I was wanting to do. But I kind of forgot that I was doing this sort of slow and steady again, started running, and then stopped to continue doing my walking part. But I did check the speed, and there was one run out of the 5 in particular that I did that hit about 4 minutes and 42 average pace, minute per kilometer. And it was just because I was having so much fun. I was having so much fun. But in terms of going back to the expectation, where it may seem like I'm kind of digressing and going in different directions, but there's a reason. The expectation I've had with how low energy I can be, particularly when I'm doing something that scares me. So, like a lot of the stuff to do with my business at the moment, I'm pushing into breaking some barriers and fears that I've been working on for about 5 years. It's huge, which feeds back into that mental and emotional fatigue. And it's not that it's not real and it doesn't exist. It does. I mean, on Sunday, I hit the deck. It was like the way I described it to my friends was that it was like I short circuited. I was just done. But when I found something later on in the day that was like, oh, I want to do this. The energy came again after like a bit of rest. So this is where starting the running and learning to play about with the different levels of intensity and being open to changing track a little bit as well has been really powerful in rewiring and re-engaging my levels of expectation in what I can and what I can't do in terms of fitness. So I'm telling you this story because, a lot of the time when we're looking at it from on the ground level and just thinking about where we are and looking at, other people on Instagram, it's really easy to get a really small, closed view of what it is to approach fitness goals. I'm coming at you as someone that, not only do I love fitness, but it's been my career for a long time. I started in fitness instruction back in 2008 after loving the gym so much when I was at uni doing fashion design for industry that I finished the degree and just retrained immediately in fitness because I'd fallen in love with it. It'd been my way to, again, feel free, process emotions. I didn't know what trauma was at that point, and I'd lost my dad to alcohol when I was 15. And then at the time that I was starting university, my mum was already dropped into her alcohol addiction. There was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff that hadn't been processed. And I didn't have a particularly healthy lifestyle when I first started out in university either. I'd kind of, I'd left ballet. I wasn't running through forests or cycling on my bike every day. I was, going out partying. I was drinking. I was smoking. I was staying up super late. I was not doing my work and then pulling all-nighters on tons of caffeine. It wasn't the healthiest. But I decided to start training for my first 5K. And when I did, it was really painful actually because at the time I didn't know anything about, foot shapes and any kind of biomechanics. So I kept on getting a really, really sharp pain in my knee when I was running, which meant I had to be picked up a couple of times because it was so intense. But I had the runner's bug really quickly. Like I loved it. So that's, I've been doing this for a long time and I've had lots of different types of exercise or workouts. You're probably going to see me again, if you follow me for a while, where I've committed to certain types of exercise or sports and got really into it, achieved with it, and then shifted onto another one. And I'm never going to be apologetic for that. I'm not devoted to one discipline, one sport. And quite often you'll find that I'll go in and get really good at a certain type of exercise or sport because I want to do something else, because I want to be able to do something else. And this is where it was feeding back into is it time to put your big fitness goals back on the table? Now, if you've lost motivation for exercise, you associate it with being boring or with being hard, or you can't do it for whatever reason, be it you've decided that you're too unfit, it's too late, you're too old. All of these are all really common ones that come up. or people comparing themselves to fitness influencers and things like that as well can, be a huge determining factor on what your beliefs are. Which is also why it's a really, really, really powerful practice to go in and audit audit your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok, and whatever, for what your Fitspo is, because sometimes what you think is going to motivate you is actually pulling you back. Because if it's leaving you in comparisonitis and feeling like I couldn't get there for whatever reason, it doesn't help. It's much more powerful to go and look for evidence of all the reasons that you can. So when we're looking at that, looking at putting the big fitness goals back on the table, and I kind of hope that this has prompted you to think, oh, what was that? Or what is that? Maybe you've never even had one before. Maybe you've just been like, oh no, no. But sometimes it's something that you've either done before or you've dreamt of before and not, went all the way. Is it time to pull that back on the table? Because sometimes we get a fractured relationship with food, fitness, our bodies, our capabilities based on one too many brushes with weight loss escapades, which are quite frankly just not fun. Even if you've got that initial burst of motivation, I don't know. Maybe it is really exciting for some people, but I just think there's only so far that changing your body mass can really drive and motivate you. When I've worked with clients or when I do the work myself, and this is speaking as someone as a former, bikini athlete, bodybuilder, I used to train competitively for aesthetics. My aesthetics, if you like, absolutely, the game changed when that was not my focus. When I stopped bodybuilding, I felt so much better in my body because I was doing training that I fucking loved. Like I was there, I was invested when I was doing things that made me feel fit, strong, faster. It motivated me so much more than any measurement or how I would look in the mirror. So whenever I had PT clients coming to me, a lot of the time we'd be looking at what is it that you want to do? What is going to make you feel powerful? What's going to make you feel like a fucking badass, basically? Sorry if the swearing's not for you. I know YouTube in particular doesn't like it, but this is what we want to look at. And you might be like, well, but why? But why? And I think it's the same as when you look at any kind of goal. And a lot of people I'm connected with do a lot of stuff on business and money goals, and look at the talk of scarcity, and the scarcity mindset is exactly the same when it comes to your fitness goals, your body goals, all of these different things, health and fitness. You can have a scarcity mindset when it comes to your health and fitness, which holds you back from reaching your full potential. And when you're feeling good about the goals that you're working on in fitness, you will naturally be more energized, more confident. You'll back yourself harder because you'll be doing lots of different things that help to energize your body and feel better in yourself. You'll have more energy to do all the things that'll help you hit other goals. So sometimes I've even found that taking someone away from their fitness goal and having a side focus of something else that they're working towards and doing them in tandem can be really handy. Particular with neurodivergent people. Now, I think like it might be a bit confused. I don't know, because like I'm trying to work on more anti-pathology, so I tend not to try and talk too much about the labels per se, but it does help me and other people to kind of understand. If I'm going to go down the label route, I would probably be more likely classed as ADHD, than straight autistic, because I do need that routine, but I need it to float and move with me. I call it a floating routine. It's like an oil rig. It has enough structure to hold itself and withstand, whatever's going in life, but it moves enough that it can move with whatever's happening in life, which was what was so powerful when we were flooded out, and I had to be able to keep myself well, keep things moving, maintain a routine for Ruby, maintain a routine for myself, whilst dealing with everything changing around me. Did it again. Gone off track. Oh no. Okay, so I remember. So for me, having one goal to focus on, especially with all that fire energy where I just want to go, I can burn out myself incredibly quickly if I'm focusing too hard on one thing. So it's always better for me to have a healthy distraction, for want of a better word. And this is true. It was even when I was doing my driving. My driving instructor had said, sounds really weird, but you drive better distracted. I need to have two lines of focus to keep me focused. So when it comes to your putting your big fitness goals back on the table, this is something to consider. How do you best work? How do you best work? What works for you? Instead of looking outside and going, okay, what plan do I need to do? What is the right thing? What is the right thing for you? And only you can really decide that. So like, again, as a personal trainer, that was my job, and that was my ethos. Was I'm the person with the tools, the expertise. I can dispel myths. I can educate. I can help design things in such a way to get you moving and doing the things. But you are the expert of you. You are the only person who knows how you work, what your motivators, your drivers are. And I can just initiate things and ask the right questions to get you moving. Things are always going to be more powerful when you want to become the expert and the driver of yourself, your journey. So that's kind of the first aspect, putting your big fitness goals on the table. But the other part is recognizing that when you're putting those big fitness goals on the table, you're reverse engineering to a point. So you're not like the thing that's used quite often, the Everest base camps. You're not just thinking, okay, so how can I get from there to the top, like from where I am now? You reverse engineer it back into what's my first step? What's my first step? So where that feeds back into my own personal journey, fitness journey, say at the moment, or even ones that I've done in the past. Ones I love to touch upon are the surfing and the swimming, because these are both things that I couldn't do, wanted to be able to do, was terrified to do, but I was like, okay, how can I make this happen? And how can I start scared? How can I start where I am, where I suck? I can't do it, and I'm even too terrified. So the swimming came about as a result of wanting to be able to surf. I can't even remember when it was. I think it was 2014 was the first time I bought Surf Girl magazine. And I was obsessed, loved it. But I was scared of water deeper than myself. I could swim well enough that I was qualified as a lifesaver. So I could do not lifeguarding, but, observing a pool and do that. I could poodle in a pool, but I couldn't swim in water deeper than myself. That was terrifying. So forget the sea. But I was also obsessed with being by the sea, because I just loved it. I wanted to be in it. I wanted to be in it. And I wanted to be able to surf, especially when we went out to Bali and watching all the people on Batu Balong Beach doing their surfing. I was like, and where we were staying, where the guy had come back on his moped with his surfboard on the side of the bike. And I was like, how cool is that to have a date where you start and you're just going out surfing? So during the pandemic, I was like, right, I'm going to learn how to swim. I reverse engineered it. How can I make it happen? I'm going to teach myself how to swim and be confident in water that's deeper than myself, and swim to a strong enough level that I know that I'm going to be able to handle whatever, because the sea's, unpredictable, of course. I taught myself breath retention so that I knew that I could be comfortable with being able to hold my breath for, a couple of minutes or whatever. So I knew that if I was underwater for whatever reason, I would be able to keep calm and hold my breath for, whatever time. And even though it's only seconds, unless you're doing big waves, the crazy things these professional people are doing. Um, Knowing that I can do that helps manage my expectations and manage my anxiety, because whenever you're getting into trouble in the likes of the sea, it's the panic. It's the panic that does it. So I was like, okay, so we'll get that locked in. And before I started swimming, what I would do was I would drop to the bottom of the pool first. So I would drop to the bottom and I wait, and then I'd come back up again. So it was all part of it. Same as doing, like, first third of the pool underwater, the middle section above water, obviously when I was better at swimming, and then last underwater. These just piecing together things. How can I make this feel as good, as safe as I can before I get going? And yeah, and then of course, I started surfing. Love it. And I felt more confident doing it because I'd taken all of these steps to do it. And of course, when it came to actually doing the sport itself, nothing replaces doing the sport itself. On the other end of the spectrum, I would be doing things like yoga and balance work and stability of wrists, ankles, knees, shoulders, all the different, joints that I'm going to be using while doing it, because I had ankles that I went over when I was younger. So how can I make my joints as stable as possible so I'm not worrying about hurting myself when I'm doing something that is based on, the sea, which is unpredictable and balance, because it's an unstable surface. So that's what I love doing. I love the reverse engineering. I love playing with the ideas. And I love it when other people get to do the same as well. It's so powerful, so cool. But when it came to the swimming as well, because I, couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I'm looking at my uneven pleats here. I'll fake it out here. I had to get really comfortable with sucking at it. I had to get really comfortable with the fact that I was bad. Like, I could, even with the breaststroke, with the breaststroke before I started learning in 2021, in the tail end of the pandemic, I before had been, keeping my head out of the water, could maybe do 25 meters and then stop. This was where I was learning to, go underwater with it. And I couldn't get the rhythm. I couldn't get the rhythm. It took ages, but I just kept showing up. I was like, it's fine. If I want to do this, I would remember the big goal. I'm like, why are we here? And it's not like the gym where, a lot of people, if they're nervous about people that might be watching them, and people are normally too involved in their own stuff to be watching anyone else. When you're in the pool learning to swim, people have to look at you. The lifeguards have to look at you for your safety. So I really had to, it was a real test on my ego, especially, oh my gosh, especially when I was learning to front crawl. I couldn't even do 10 meters. And it was a real, but I had to do it. And even on the days when I didn't want to do it, I was like, I'm not really wanting to go in and just absolutely bomb at this. I did, because I was like, but just think, when you get this nailed, you're going to be so happy. And guess what? I can swim now. I can swim pretty well as well. And I love it. It was worth it. And again, and it feeds back into the whole reason why I did it in the first place. I got to do surfing, and I feel so much safer and have so much more fun, and do pretty well as a beginner who doesn't get to do it often, because I've looked at all the different aspects that come together to make it happen. And that came to mind today, because it's kind of the same as what I've done with running. recently. And even though running for me is not something that is new, running is something I've done for like a long time, man. I don't even know, over 20 years. Um, but the way that I'm approaching it is different. And next year, I did start this year, but I was like, no, because I'm building the membership, it is taking a lot of focus. I started the biomechanics. I was like, no, I really need to focus on that. So I'm going to go back into doing the biomechanics, redoing the biomechanics training next year, and that'll take things to a whole other level. But just playing with the fun and the creativity of the running has been really powerful. Playing with the speed, yeah, because that's why it made me think of the swimming. Was it's a whole different thing, just swimming, and swimming kind of like at a speed. The real skill comes with being able to slow your ass down and still swim well. And it's exactly the same with the running. It's really easy to run on autopilot and just go and be going at a speed, but to slow yourself down and be able to maintain good skill and notice any imbalances that could cause problems and be able to shift them consciously is it's just cool. So that's kind of my invitation really with it. Is it time to put your big fitness goals back on the table? You will change your relationship to fitness, exercise, nutrition, your body, breath work, all these different things, if you can make it fun, if you can attach it to something that has real meaning for you. And again, I'm sorry, I don't know, like if it's got a health implication, normally weight loss can be a great goal, but I don't know. I don't think everyone's as excited as they think they are about weight loss. But when you can switch it into, what do I really want to be able to do? How can I make that happen? Who can I find to inspire me that's already done it? Who is where I'm at and doing it? Who is where I'm at and already done it? It's about blowing open your perspective, blowing that box that's kept you stuck wide open and going, okay, where can I find evidence that I can do this? And let yourself get excited with it. Like, it makes such a huge difference. And when you start to move and when you start to take that action, you're going to notice, particularly if you're a journaler like I am, you're going to notice the shifts. You're going to notice the shift in energy and the way that you hold yourself and how excited you are to show up, and even other things, habits like your sleep and what you're drawn to eat. And when you're drawn to eat, everything that shifts. We think that change is going to be this long, drawn out thing that's going to take ages. And when you get started, if it's something that you're really excited about, you're going to find like, oh, this is happening really quickly. And yeah, and I'm having that right now. And this has been my jam for a long time. But life happened, and life happened hard and heavy. And I lost a little bit of faith in myself, and I was stuck for a long time. And I forgive myself, and I understand why I needed to be there. But in starting again and getting those glimpses of, like, today, one of my runs was about just over 4.5 minutes per kilometer. When, a few weeks ago, I'd be like, oh, I'd love to be able to get down to that, because that was my average pace for my half marathon, Royal Parks half marathon time. I was like, there's no reason why I can't. But I had this vision that to get anywhere close to that was going to take ages. When in reality, I'm getting glimpses of it already. So, and that is what kind of as well prompted that. Is it time to put your big fitness goals back on the table? Am I maybe underswinging? It's like, but you get to change. And again, in my membership, I go into this. So in the Thrive Library membership, in that first level, there is the goal setting and the reverse engineering of goals and understanding how to use smarter goals. So where you're doing the specific measurables, so on and so forth, but also evaluate and review where you're taking something that you're doing and seeing, is this working for me or do I need to change it? We cover it all. But yeah, is it time? Is it time to put your big fitness goals back on the table and let yourself get excited about it again? Is it time to change the relationship that you have to yourself, your body, your capabilities, exercise, nutrition? What are the beliefs there? And can you change them? Can you make it something that makes you feel excited and ready to go? That's my invitation to you. I'm excited. I'm excited. I've had a great day. Yeah. And I made it. I made it on the live stream. And the guys aren't back yet. So I might even get more time for recording. But no, that's enough. I'm going to go and get some lunch. I'll do some more recording later. Right. Bye.